You know, we think sometimes of the institution of slavery as physical labor, but it's the knowledge and the expertise and the appropriation of that knowledge and expertise that created vast wealth in this city that scaled up to the entire nation. And the value of that wealth and the credit of that value to African Americans has just never, ever been acknowledged, or just as a matter of justice, that value has never been returned.
So you have several generations that were raised in the arena where black equated bad. There was something wrong with it. It were people with problems. The question wasn't like what happened to those people, it was always what's wrong with them.
I don't know what it is. I can't put my finger on it in some cases, but you sit at certain tables and we work with a lot with investors, that is, and you know, they just come up with different questions that you may not ask, you know, a traditional white founder or what have you.
9 times out of 10, we're first-time entrepreneurs, all right? It's something in our culture that really hasn't been supported or helped in the last 20 or 30 years, because at one point in time, we understood that we were all that we need and nobody wasn't coming.
I think sometimes it is rooted in the educational system, to be very honest with you. I attend a lot of pitch competitions just to kind of see, you know, what's out there, new ideas, kind of see what's happening in the entrepreneurial lane. You know, I go to a pitch competition at Johns Hopkins, and they're talking about artificial intelligence, cryptocurrency, all these different things. And then I go to an HBCU here in the city, and you know, 6 of the 8 entrepreneurs are talking about creating T-shirt lines. And it's a disparity in terms of how broad are we expanding our minds from an educational standpoint.
Change the thought pattern that the schools and society has put them into, that they're workers and they're not bosses.
And unfortunately, there are folks who may mean well and may have the funding, but innate in them, sort of this little seed that's been planted in them, it's just going to sit there and grow and grow. When you have a society that can water that seed of negativity, there's really nowhere for it to go. I mean, it's always going to be there.
So if I'm able to get funding, I'm able to get my idea executed this quickly. But if not, it's going to take this much longer to get it done. And so in the time that it takes me this much longer to execute, okay, what is a pathway and who do I need to speak with in order to make that happen? You're told with coded language, go stress test your idea. When someone else develop a white paper on the same idea, they come with say $5,000 or $10,000 of funding. Of course, they look a lot more credible than anyone else who doesn't.
So many of my friends that when we started our business, it's taken us that learning curve of getting acclimated with your business and knowing what to do. It's taken 2 to 3 years, where normally it should be something you're positioned with right out of the gate, okay? So you figure by that time that 2 to 3 years goes by, it takes, and you catch on, now it takes you another 2 years to catch back up. So in reality, when you're standing straight as a black business and you've been in business for 5 years, you probably have the learned knowledge of a first year, someone that's been in business for just 1 year that had a history of having businesses in their culture, in their family.
It's all kinds of entrepreneurs, but the one that's prevailing the most in the black communities are the ones that will cause them to either be institutionalized the rest of their life or sent to an early grave.
You think about it, we've got a blueprint for a kid that wants to play basketball or football. There's a blueprint from Pee-wee to the pros. But there really is no blueprint for the technology space in terms of how can we access a kid at age 12, age 13, and continue to keep them under your wing and just garner the resources that you have around them to help them get to a professional level.
They might struggle longer than they should or longer than they need to in getting the earliest stages of that opportunity or that venture off the ground. They might need a little shot in the arm of resources, whether it be hard dollars or legal support or accounting or marketing. Oftentimes those resources are stewarded away into organizations and communities that are very politically engaged.
Like for me, I'm an entrepreneur because I had to be. And being a bootstrap entrepreneur, it's not like I can go to my family and ask for funds. So I have an idea, but I have to find ways to find funding for my idea, or I have to bootstrap my idea.
When I went to the SBA, Small Business Administration, when I first opened up, when I first bought the building, I just had a simple question for them. I said, who do I get insurance from and how much insurance should I have? Simple question, right? All right. I got no help.
We've done things in Baltimore like literally put sidewalks across streets so that folks from that other community can't drive into the neighborhood, and created one-way streets in those neighborhoods so that it's like entering a maze, so people get lost and they can't get out if they need to get out.
The more that we put up these racial barriers, these barriers that just stop people from opportunity, or at least try to slow them down. Because if you think about it, other countries and other regions around the world aren't slowing down. You look at India, you look at China, they're not coming to the US as much as they were in the past for information. You know, they're building their own ecosystems and staying there.
So there needs to be that change of that mentality and sort of break the DNA in a way. Unfortunately, we're gonna have to break our city.
Imagine if it's black-owned businesses that are in the black community, what powerful structure can be introduced to the upcoming generation? What entrepreneurship can be introduced to the one who say, I just had an idea, but then they seen someone make that real? It wasn't until my teenage years that the enlightenment of the store owner lived right in the community. But when we would go in the store, we didn't go in there recognizing him as somebody that lived in public housing. We went in the store, hi, Mr. Giles, what can I do today? Or Mr. Giles, do you have this today? And Mr. Giles had the corner store where everyone supported that, the only black entrepreneur in that area. He promoted entrepreneurship that we watched his sons become entrepreneurs yet in other areas of business in the black community. So what did that family do? They set an example. It's not where you live, but it's how you live and what you can become.
If we identify the assets of the black community and the black entrepreneurs who are here doing it now, some might be thinking about it, and also those who have never thought about it, and give them a little bit of a light on folks who are doing it. Because seeing other entrepreneurs, I believe, whether they're wildly successful, struggling in the cause, I think it encourages other folks to ask questions, if not do it themselves.
Having a business could be a great legacy play for those that have children or grandchildren or what have you. These are the type of tools that, you know, they don't necessarily teach you maybe in like business school, but in just the general structure of school as an institution. They don't necessarily tell you kind of the ways that you can benefit from having your own business, even if it's a side hustle.
You must touch each of those lanes where you have poisoned the well.
You know, I don't get all spun up about it. It's just a fact. It's sort of like gravity. I don't see any point in getting all agitated about it, either defensive as a white person or agitated as a person of color. Let's just fix it. You know, don't try to pretend that the faucet isn't dripping. Let's just fix the plumbing.
And I think that Baltimore offers a phenomenal opportunity, since the infrastructure is still there for small business and for entrepreneurship.
You'll be surprised in terms of the level of innovation that is in the minds, even just people walking on the street, because we don't lack ideas.
The genius that I see in communities is probably one of the most wasted resources that I've ever seen.
For entrepreneurs and small businesses, that you got to keep your hand on us. And you're not going to do it in just a 6-month class or something of that nature. You're not going to do it in a school setting where they put you in like cattle and talk a whole lot of stuff and let you out. It's going to have to be concentrated for 18 months to 24 months to the point of where they're really ready to fly.
Learning how to run a business is not a magic formula. You don't go to a seminar one weekend and suddenly end up a successful business person. It takes a long time. You have to learn from failure. You have to be able to go from disappointment to disappointment with no sense of losing your enthusiasm for the thing, but you have to be able to be real.
In Baltimore, there's a very distinct connective line, this history that we all share, this background, the naysayers that we all have to sort of put our guards up and defend ourselves from. We're all connected, white, black, whoever, we're all connected in this manner. And I feel like that connectivity is the glue that can tie us all together.
And so I think our biggest challenge and our biggest opportunity is to really connect all the talent and build networks where people who have ideas and want to turn those ideas into a business have the support they need from the very beginning of ideation all the way through building and scaling.
Part of the ecosystem is people helping each other and being able to sustain themselves in business. So that's what I'm really looking forward to, is to introduce design and entrepreneurial thinking into the mix.
Not only here for the city, but could potentially create a blueprint and a model for the country that could really change some things.
Small black business in Baltimore has the ability to change the narrative of what's going on in our communities now.
If the black race is given the rights to rebuild, to regain, to recontrol what was a dynasty in their community, you would not have any of the troubles. No, you wouldn't. No, you wouldn't. And let history go back. The caliber of violence, crime, and those illicit things that are taking place in the East Baltimore community did not take place when blacks were in their own entrepreneur positions. So this program has introduced a format that will show the people not only what you say matters, we now ready to produce it. We now ready to bring it into a reality level, not based on the understanding of economics as the world see it, but based on dealing with the people where they are and for the needs they need to have met.
It's not measured by the car I drive, okay? It's not measured by what I wear, all right? But it's measured by who we've touched, you know? And that's big, and that's big.